I'm Ryan, this is my brother Daniel, and this is Rolls in the Family. And today we are talking about the games that are currently sitting right at the top of our wish lists of
That's
games
right.
we would love to try, maybe think about owning someday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't get that many new games year over year. I mean, I guess it
And yet I
depends
somehow still have too many.
I guess it depends what perspective you're looking at. There, you know, some people would look at us and be like, "Wow, you guys buy like so many board games." And then, but other people might be like, "Wow, you guys, you know, for having a board gaming YouTube channel, you know, don't necessarily try that."
I know,
that
Ryan. We
many
need to invest
new
more,
games.
and these are business expenses.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's what I tell my
more
wife.
games to sit on the shelf and not get played. Yeah, it's
Write
very
it off.
important. So we're going to be talking down our top 10 of games that we're most excited to try. We would love to hear in the comments below if there's a game or a couple games that are on the top of your wish list that you are most interested in getting the chance to try out. We will also include links to all the games that we talk about in the description below. If maybe we get you hyped about them,
You go try it, and then tell us if we should try it.
If we should try it.
In
Now,
the comments
do note,
below.
we've not played any of these games, which means we're going to sound at least 50% less intelligent than most games we talk about on this channel.
And that already, if people follow the channel, for me is somewhat low bar. So
really-
can you imagine 50%?
Yeah, but maybe it's like you know in like football where like you get a penalty within like the 20. It's only half the distance
Well, that's
to the
true,
goal.
Ryan.
Like
50%
50%
of your knowledge is a lot more of a drop.
Yeah, it's
than
a
people
bigger
aren't
drop.
People aren't even going to notice with me. It's going to be beautiful.
Exactly. Be like, yep, still sounds like he doesn't know what he's talking about. No, this is good. But I do know we may get certain things wrong. We're going a little bit off memory and what we think we've heard about these games.
Yeah.
So
No,
you
I
can
know- I
tell
know
us if
these
we should
games.
actually try them or not.
Right.
But let's jump into it, Daniel. Let's start with your number 10.
Okay, Ryan. My number 10 game that I know nothing about. Number 10 game that I'm excited to potentially try. We've done a lot of flip and right games, kind of roll and right. I think that's a really fun mechanic. We both have cartographers and have really enjoyed that one. And this one has always intrigued me because it's like that, but a heavier version of it. And this goes to Hadrian's Wall. And I'll be honest. I mean, at first when I saw even just like the sheet, I'm like, oh my goodness, looks quite.
Like, is this a joke?
I know. Like, there's probably a lot of people that would look at it and be like, oh my gosh, this looks like homework, or something that.
But
But
it pretty much is.
but it is. But fun homework. And I don't know, just what's kind of drawing me to it is this idea that mechanic, which I really enjoy in a lot of lighter games, just having a game where there's where it's woven into a much deeper kind of strategy game and whatnot. I'm trying to remember the player count that this
I
game
think it goes up to 6.
can go up to 6 players,
Yeah.
which, we always say that bump, with heavier games, usually like 5, 4 or 5 can be the cap. If it can work well at 6, it always depends on if it makes the game too long and whatnot.
I can't speak to whether it works well, but I know the box
You
says
could
it goes
guess.
to 6. Yeah. I mean, these types of games tend to lend themselves to more simultaneous play.
Yeah. So yeah, that one still has is sitting there on my wish list. Would love to see if that
Maybe you
mechanic works well on a
gotta-
heavier one.
Maybe you got to look into Twilight Inscription. That's the TI4.
Is it as long as TI4?
I don't think so, but it's the roll and write version, basically.
I
of
might
Twilight
actually have to.
Imperium.
There you go.
Yep. Nice. My number 10, I think, was on my list when we did this last year. So clearly I have not made progress in the last year in trying this game.
But you still are interested.
I still am interested in it. I have a friend that has it. So, like, I have the means that, like, if I would just organize a day and be like, hey, you should bring that and we should
the
play
problem
it,
is you don't like this friend.
yeah, he never plays games.
I'm just kidding.
No. This is Hansa Teutonica. And this is a game that is actually quite old, but got a nice new
And hard to spell.
big box edition. This is how big boxes should be done. It's big box in that it has all the content, but it's still in like a pretty small box.
Nice.
This is just one that, has stood the test of time in terms of people are still talking about it.
Yeah, when did this one come out?
The original edition is probably like 2010 2010 or something, or 2012.
That's ancient at this point.
Yeah, yeah. So some of our viewers were not born when this game came out.
Neither was I.
No. But it just seems to kind of be a really strong entry in that line of like very interactive Euro games. You know, you're getting to place cubes out onto these routes on the map, and you're kind of jostling over things, but then it's got a little bit of this kind of like engine building with upgrading on your board. I kind of in my mind have it in a similar category of something like Yellow and Yangtze for me, where it's this kind of very highly interactive Euro game that's got some pretty unique mechanisms. This is still one that I really would like to try. I could see, I don't have like that many games that maybe are in that category. And this has for a while been one of my top ones that I've been like, maybe that would be another one that's worth getting.
Well, that's
so definitely would like
that's
to
a
try
key
it.
thing for us, right? If games can fit a new spot, right? And kind of that's how games can have great longevity in our collections, is if they're really owning a space that other games aren't hitting. Very nice, Ryan. My number 9, you should be able to speak well to, because you own this one, and it's probably actually definitively the number 1 game you own that I want to still try. We're gonna make this happen, Ryan. This will not be on the list this next year. I can promise you that. Book it. This goes to Wonderland's War. I am very, very excited to try your copy of this game. When you talk about, I don't know, in my mind, like, obviously, you know, you've played it. To me, this is like what I love about Quacks of Quedlinburg, the like bag building mechanic, which is just so great in a highly kind of interactive, you know, would you say conflict style?
Yeah, I mean,
game?
everything is basically feeding into this area control, where
it's almost
you're
like an
pushing
ethnos
of your luck. Your pushing of your luck is how you like battle in each region, but how many people you put in the region is kind of like how much you can push your luck, because the more people you have, the longer you can go without busting.
And I will say, the other thing drawing me to this game is it just looks really nice. It's a looker, Ryan.
It's also gigantic. The board is gigantic. Is it?
It's
like a huge.
It's hard to tell from pictures how big it is. So that one, that is definitely, of the ones you own, kind of the number 1 game right now that I definitely want to try. So Ryan, please bring it out here.
I feel like there's a pretty safe bet that you'll like this game.
There we go. So. Enough to own it. That's the question.
That's the question. It's not a cheap game, especially because if you're going to own it, you probably want to get it with the nice clay chips and stuff.
Oh, man. All the caveats.
All the caveats. All right. My number 9 is one that actually very recently has kind of jumped up on my radar. You know, there's so many games that come out that fall into this kind of like 90-minute to 2.5 hour heavier strategy, you know, Euro game maybe. And it's really hard to determine like which are the ones that really, because we don't get that and try that many of them, and it's like the most competitive area of our collection. So it's hard for ones to really catch my eye that like, ooh, this could be a good new addition. This one is intriguing me, and this is Shackleton Base: A Journey to the Moon. I don't know that Daniel knows anything about this game. But this is a game that, and I don't know like that much about it, but I know that it has kind of just a strong, you know, worker placement kind of engine underneath it. But then there's this moon that you're competing over a lot of like kind of area control stuff on the moon. But one of the cool things that's added onto it is that the game comes with 7 of these. I don't know if they're corporations or something like that, but every game you're picking 3 of the 7 to put into the game. And they like those modules like really change the game in terms of like objectives and kind of how the game works. And so I think that's kind of the special sauce that has me interested in this one. Is I love that concept of like every time you play it, you pick a different 3, and it's going to be kind of a different feel.
That's right up our alley
of game based on that.
Right.
But then on top of that, everything I've seen is it's just a really, really solid game paired with that, and it's maybe a little bit more on the interactive side with like the shared board, which is nice to, I think of something like Terraforming Mars, where we've talked about part of what we like about that game is you get to do your engine building thing, but then there's meaningful competition over it
for sure.
And so now we're just going to the moon. It's Mars, moon. It's basically the same thing, right?
Right.
So yeah, I need to look into this one more to better understand. Like,
As
maybe
do I.
should it go up even more or down or?
Right.
But yeah, it's one that I think seems to be, getting enough buzz. I mean, it helps that like I think Shut Up and Sit Down did a pretty positive review on it, and that always helps a game come out of obscurity.
That's
when
almost
it gets,
as big as when Rules in the Family gives a positive
almost. Yeah, I mean, after this video drops, you'll be lucky if you can find Shackleton Base for sale. But yeah, definitely one that has me intrigued.
That's cool, Ryan. This is what I love about having you in my life, Ryan. There's many things, but mainly that you help me discover these board games that I would never hear about. My number 8, Ryan. I think you have potentially some interest in this game as well. We'll see if it makes the list, but probably is the game that is, I think, on my list, probably the lightest or leans into kind of maybe the party space more. And we were even just talking about it a little bit before the video. And I just the theme intrigues me. This goes to Bomb Busters. So I mean, you're telling me kind of a real time, right? That it's no.
No, it's like taking turns, basically. It's almost like a Go Fish mechanic.
Well, when you say, how can you not have a real-time game when it's disarming a bomb?
Module. There's a bunch of different missions.
Okay.
There might be a mission that's a real-time mission.
But the disarming, the whole like cooperative, like cutting of wires and stuff like that, like I just haven't, I haven't played a game that really leans into like that theme more. And it feels like that's such a great theme for a cooperative game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, we like The Crew a lot.
Very much.
But The Crew is very specifically like, you play it with a group of people that knows and likes trick-taking games. And like, that's it. So I think it's kind of cool with Bomb Busters to have the opportunity to do that type of experience, this cooperative deduction, but it's maybe a little more family weight. And
is it quick?
Yeah, pretty quick, and has tons of different modules and stuff that can mix it up.
It's almost kind of like, I think about how Sky Team works really well of, cooperative, plays quick, but tons of different type, scenarios and stuff. It almost feels a little bit like that, but obviously with more people as well. So yeah, very interested. I mean, gosh, if you can find games that hit on the like lighter kind of party space, I mean, those are just essential.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'd even call it a party game, but it is the type of game that like could give you that type of experience you get from something like The Crew, but you could feel more comfortable maybe pulling it out with a group that hasn't played as many games. It won the Kennerspiel. I can never remember what won the Spiel des Jahres and the Kennerspiel, which is like the advanced game.
It won something.
Let me tell you.
It was big.
Yeah. My number 8. This one I kind of forgot about right before, as we were putting our list together. I was like, oh yeah, that actually probably should make this list. Though it's a little hard for me to rank because this is, of ones on this game, one that falls into like my curiosity to try it is so high. But like, I don't know how likely it is that I'm gonna like love it, and I don't know how likely it would be that it would be like a game that would stay in my collection.
You told me not to put games like that.
It could be though. Like it's just a spectrum of odds. But this is Vantage.
Okay.
Newest game from Stonemaier Games, and this very interesting kind of first-person open world exploration game where you're dropped on a planet and then you just like explore. It's kind of almost like a point and click adventure with like, you're in this location, you can do one of these 6 things. And there's kind of some dice mechanisms behind it that you do with some of the things and kind of cooperating. But largely, I mean, it is like explore, kind of figure out what you want to do, maybe uncover some kind of objective and I think there is some kind of larger objective that you can try to achieve, but a lot of the appeal of the game is just getting to explore this world. I think what makes me intrigued in this one, because there's been games like this, I think I've tried Seventh Continent with a friend.
Oh, you did try that one. That's right.
Which was very cool, but I think there were a lot of things over time that kind of emerged as maybe flaws in the system. I mean, a lot of people talked about how there was a lot, like the time to play like a full thing was a lot, and there was a lot of maybe grinding on like needing to, oh, now we need to go all the way back over here, and to do that is like really slow and like hard to do. So maybe it gets a little repetitive, or I can't speak to some of that because I only played it like 2 sessions of it.
Right.
But Vantage has the interesting strength of it is just a standalone session. Like there's no campaign here.
That is
other
so appealing.
than if you play it repeatedly, you might start to remember things about the planet or learn things that help you. But you could easily play with a completely new group and jump in and do it. And so that's very intriguing to me. And I don't really, I mean, it really is a game that's unlike anything I have in my collection.
Right.
The other thing I'm thinking is like, man, how my son is 5, but has played a lot of games. I'm like, this could be a very fun type of game to play with a kid.
Right.
Of like, let's
You're
drop
discovering
in
this world
and explore together.
Yeah.
I need to do a little more research into. I mean, I know I'd have to like read certain things, you know, that he can't read, but maybe some research into just like the maturity level of some of the storylines and things that you might find yourself in, like if it's going to be, you know,
right.
engage a 5-year-old and be appropriate. But yeah, this one, it's been getting a lot of hype. I think it's going to be pretty polarizing as far as whether people like this style of game. And I don't know for me, honestly. It's a little bit away from what usually I love in games. I'm much more of a mechanisms driven person than a theme exploration. But I'm also a big, like, if a game provides some really cool experience that's different from a lot of other experiences, that can be enough to secure a spot in the collection. So would love to try Vantage.
I would love to try Vantage as well, which is why it's my number 7.
Wow, you must want to try it at least
one more
rank.
notch than Ryan.
Yes.
Yeah, this one is really intriguing, and I would completely agree with you that almost feels like on this list, this almost kind of feels like the biggest unknown of it could either be a absolute hit or really fall flat. And I don't know where it's going to be, but that whole idea that it's this world that you're discovering more and more, but it's not a campaign. And gosh, if you listen to Ryan and I at all, one of the greatest features a game can have these days is not a campaign, because we've enjoyed campaigns, but if everything's a campaign,
we're at the point where we don't game enough that if we do a campaign, it means it's eating up like you know,
being able to play
other
things. So that idea that it's both, you get kind of the excitement of discovering this world more and more like you would in a campaign, but you can do one-offs is really cool. Now, I think the real question for me is just like, are those one-offs good enough to, or is, you know what I mean? Like, is the one-off great on its own, or is the game great when once you play it a bunch and that you're discovering more? Because I think that's what would be hard, is to like want to play it with someone who's just going to maybe play it once, and it's like, oh, well, playing it once, it's a fine game, but you really want to play it more, and it almost does kind of become a campaign
and from
game.
what I've heard, the appeal really is in the single runs.
Okay.
Like it is
Cool.
a small amount that would be kind of like you remembering things. I think there's maybe a little bit of swinginess and like I mean, it's so open.
Yeah.
So it's like, but then again, there's games we talk about that we love that in, like something like Eldritch. We talk about like it's so swingy how the experience could go, but that's part of the appeal, is like what could happen.
Well, and I think that's like one of the most intriguing things is this idea of entering into a world and having, I mean, people say that the amount of content just in the box is insane. And so that is just exciting. It gives kind of that same Eldritch horror feel of.
And there's just not many games where you get to like do I'm going to go this way and get to see like this is now what you're seeing. And it's like a cohesive world. It's not like a procedurally generated thing. It's like you feel like you're discovering a real location.
Well, you know what's interesting? I feel like
things.
most games where you get something somewhat like that are cooperative.
Yeah.
But this one,
this one is technically cooperative, but it's a little weird because you're like off. You could be a completely different. You're kind of doing your own stories, but you do help each other with the dice mechanisms.
And is there a like shared objective, or you're just trying to like what's winning in this game?
Yeah, I forget. I think there are like some shared things, but there's definitely like with the dice mechanisms an element of like I can do things that are going to help you achieve the thing you're doing over there. But yeah, it's a good question. Like at the end of a session, if you're going to say who won and lost, I'm not sure exactly.
That's what gets back to just like is one session. Does it deliver the conclusion, or is the end of a session feel like just the next step in wanting to play another one? I don't know, but that's why we're interested in trying it out. That's my number 7.
Nice. My number 7 is from a company that I think does a pretty good job of putting out games that differentiate, and then they tend to kind of throw in the kitchen sink with them. This is Level 99 Games, and they have a new game called Spooktacular. And this is a kind of... I guess the theme of it is there's like it's like a movie theater, and it's like the horror movie monsters are like coming out of the movies and like, eating all the people that are coming to the.
Yeah,
it's very gruesome. No, it's a little bit more of a lighthearted
about games not to play with your child.
Like it's kind of cartoony or whatever. But this is kind of Level 99 Games' attempt at saying, okay, there's these highly asymmetric games like Root, for example, that are very, very high bar for the accessibility of getting into this and enjoying it with a group. What would it look like for a highly asymmetric game that has a very, very low bar, very accessible, but still has a lot of that? And so each of these, I think there's like 20 monsters in the game, is completely asymmetrical, like works in their own way, has their own things, but the system is designed in a way that it is very straightforward. I mean, you're largely just kind of like moving around this theater and moving all the little like movie-going meeples around and trying to eat them and, kind of collect. It almost reminds me a little bit of Rampage, or Terror in Meeple City is the new edition of it. But it's very intriguing to me to then be in a game that plays in like 45 minutes and that you could feel like you could introduce to anybody and they would have fun on their first play, but like every one of these plays completely differently. I could see this being one that my son would really enjoy, just the mechanics of it and everything. And so I'm intrigued by it. It's gotten a little bit of buzz. I haven't, it's pretty new, but it kind of is attempting to do something that I haven't really seen in a game as far as that highly asymmetric player powers within like a very kind of family weight game.
Yeah.
So that intrigues me. I'm just going to keep saying everything intrigues me because it's true.
That's why it makes this list.
Yeah.
Very nice,
10 intriguing.
Well, both my number 6 and number 5 feel like they completely go against everything I've said in this video, which is that Ryan and I have cooled on campaign style games,
but have not cooled on wanting to play games.
Right. It is true. Because I still, honestly, my best board gaming memories are found in those campaigns. And if you can find ones that really land with a group, man, it's an absolute blast. And so my number 6 is one that's intrigued me for a while. This goes to Oathsworn Into the Deepwood. And probably the thing that, is most interesting about this for me is kind of how in this game it's got, the 2-phase system that is very different. You've got the kind of the story part where, I mean, you're very much in, the style of games where you're, choosing directions.
Choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure type thing, which I think if connected well can be very fun to see, kind of the different paths that you can go down and feel like your decisions are making a difference. But then ultimately it leads towards these boss battles that you're having, on a map. And I just remember looking into it, like the card play system looked really, really interesting. I know in like a game like Gloomhaven, that was the thing I loved about it, was that kind of system. I don't forget exactly how, exactly how that works, but I remember when
Yeah,
looking
it's got
into it.
some kind of like cooldown mechanism with cards and
Right. And so that one, honestly, this felt like the game that when I finished Gloomhaven and I was like, oh man, what would be like the next campaign style game that kind of has a little bit of that feel, but obviously they're very different games. This was the one that came up. And so, hard to know at what place, I would own it. Definitely would have to like just have a group that's like looking for a campaign, style game. Thought about, I've had a group that's played, in Star Wars Imperial Assault. Maybe this could be a, kind of a next one. We'll see. But boss, I think it'd be really fun to have a game that has that kind of boss battling feel to it, which looks really, really cool. And this is not the only game on my list that has that mechanic. Wink, wink. So by my number 6, Ryan, it goes to Oathsworn.
Yeah, I've given up any aspirations of playing a game like Oathsworn. No, at least until, there may be a season of life when kids get older where suddenly the world is open to campaign games.
Oh
but
my gosh.
I'm not there. Not quite there yet.
Yeah.
My number 6 has been mentioned.
Ooh.
And this is Bomb Busters.
There we go.
I am very excited to try
real
Bomb
time,
Busters.
right, Ryan?
Yeah, this real-time game you may have heard about from Daniel. This just looks like it really kind of nails this like family weight deduction, cooperative deduction game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was saying with, when we were talking about it for your entry, like there's so much I love about the crew, but I am only going to pull that out with a group that has played trick-taking games, likes trick-taking games. Like it's a very specific thing. And so I see this as maybe being the game that would not need that filter to get to the table.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be interesting to see how much this is one that you feel like you want to be playing with the same group to like progress through the different missions. But I know, when I've looked into it, that like, especially once you get to like mission 10 or something, I think there's like 70.
Yeah.
But they talk about like, you could just that could be the game. You could just replay that because there's variation within every scenario and like how the wires get randomly dealt out and everything. So I could see it being something where like I kind of have my go-to, like if I'm just going to do a standalone game, this is the scenario, we're going to do and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. Honestly, my biggest hesitation to getting is I'm just trying to think of when I'm going to get it to the table because I think it is one that's better with more people, like having 3 or 4 or 5. And yeah, it's just hard to know exactly when I'm going to have the right group for it and that wouldn't want to just be playing maybe the crew or something. But yeah, this one's been getting a lot of buzz, obviously won some awards and whatnot. So yeah, always on the lookout for more accessible games that catch your eye as like
totally
both looking very fun, but also something that's different from games that I have.
Yeah, speaking of just accessible, easy to get to the table games, my number 5 is not that. My number 5 is a game that is quite hard to get to the table, which is why I will see if I end up owning it. But this takes a game that you own that I enjoyed, but I think I would like this game, which is kind of a similar game, better. This goes to The Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era.
Yeah.
This one, so Ryan obviously owns
Too Many Bones.
Too Many Bones.
I've got way too many bones over here.
Which is a very cool game, and gosh, just the whole chip, mechanics and characters and all of that. Super, super fun game. And then you mentioned to me, hey Daniel, they released a game that's quite similar. I think difference being one, it's more campaign style, right? I'm trying to remember, Ryan. Do you know the kind of some of the other differences between
I know that
the
like
two?
whereas Too Many Bones has these gear locks that are very specific, this is how this character works. I think Elder Scrolls is more like you kind of build the character. There's a little bit more kind of like customization to it. There's something different with like a cooldown track thing that I think is different than,
right. Yeah, and I think that was one of the things, and I enjoy Too Many Bones. well, part of the problem with Too Many Bones is I play it like once every 3 years, and so I forget every rule and have no idea what's going on. It's definitely a game that benefits from playing it, over and over again. I think it was a little bit of maybe feeling like your character has a certain way it needs to be played, and you're kind of being like led down. Like, one of the things I don't like in games is when they tell you like, okay, your first 3 turns, you should like get this die and then and I think in the game it does.
They have like if you don't know what to do, here's a recommended.
Yeah, and like
start.
There's part of me that like doesn't like that because it makes me feel
Don't
like
tell me what to do.
Yeah, well, it's like if I do something else, I'm like making a suboptimal decision, which maybe I am, but I want to feel like I'm making a good decision.
I want to own these decisions.
So I don't know, just a little bit more of that, like you can really customize your character and whatnot, and just I don't know, doesn't make sense for us to own the same game, so let's own something different.
You keep saying that, but I'm like, with how we only see each other at a game a couple times a year these days. Like,
it's very true.
If we both like a game, it probably makes sense to both.
But this one, just if I was gonna get a game that's that chip theory, type of game, obviously harder in that you need a group to be playing it, over and over.
Yeah, and I forget how long the campaigns are here. Like, I want to say that you can do like ones that are a little shorter.
Yeah.
I'm mixing up all my campaign games because there's definitely some more. We've seen more examples of campaign games that are like, it's a 3-game campaign.
Those are
which is a very like interesting thing. Yeah. I can't remember if this is one of those or if it's longer than that.
I'm going to say it is, and correct me in the comments if it's not.
Yes, let us know.
But yeah, this one I've had my eye on. Feels like it's going to be very hard to actually get to that point of owning it. But if I do, I think I'd love it, Ryan.
I think you would. So. Yeah. Nice. My number 5 is kind of one that came out of nowhere for me. I was kind of starting to look at what games I maybe wanted on my gift list for coming up on birthday, Christmas
coming up,
here
big
at the
season
end of the
for
year.
Ryan.
And I was like, I remember being intrigued by this one. I should look into it a little more. And when I was looking into it, I was like, man, this is a really cool, unique game. This is called Core of Discovery, a game set in the world of Manifest Destiny.
Really? They had to add that up.
Well, I think the publisher is Off the Page Games, and their whole thing is they take like these like graphic novels or like established graphic novels and they bring it into the board game world. So I think there's the world of Manifest Destiny is like the comic or whatever it is that they pulled the source material from. I think they wanted to not just say like, I think the original title actually was something like the tagline was just Manifest Destiny, which sounded like, I think they realized it had some connotations that they didn't want, so now it's a game set in the world of that. So, it's a little called Core of Discovery is really but this is very interesting. All I really know about the theme, let's see if I remember this. It's like Lewis and Clark exploration era.
Okay.
But I think it's like an alternate fictional timeline where there's now like monsters or like other.
Oh no, that really happened.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know a lot of this about it. So kind of this blend of historical fiction with kind of a fantasy. I think that's kind of what's going on here. But it is basically a cooperative survival game where you're trying to survive. And there's this grid that's like the map essentially, that for any given game you slide in the like key for that game, and it is the type of game where then like you know that key, like you can't play that one again until you maybe forget it, but there's enough of them that's not really like a real concern unless you're just like playing the crap out of this game. But when you're exploring on that map, it's basically this cooperative deduction thing where there's all these rules around like wood is guaranteed to be like next to these things, or like there's only one of these in a row, or these types of deductive rules. So then when you're exploring and you're playing this cooperative survival game and you're like, we need to find water, you're exploring and using deductive reasoning to determine where maybe is the best places to go. But then you have these, tasks that you're trying to completing, and you have your own player power and equipment you're getting, and it's kind of this full like kind of survival cooperative game that's around that. So it's this very interesting blend of a cooperative, a more standard cooperative, we're trying to meet the objective game, but then also like a deduction game. And it's cool because like they have, I think in the base game, there's, like a bunch of different keys for that same scenario, but then they're releasing packs that are like completely themed different scenarios that have a bunch of, and so then maybe the deductive rules work differently and the types of things you see on the map. And so it's like a whole different module, but then you can play different versions of that module.
Right.
And the more I looked into it, I was like, man, this looks like it could be very fun, both as a cooperative game, maybe with just 2 or 3 people, but also potentially as a solo game. I think it's supposed to be pretty good solitaire. And like, I have shied away from solitaire games that are maybe more puzzly, just because I tend to like my cooperative games to have that cooperative feel of I win or lose. And there's kind of this drama of win or lose. I feel like this kind of like bridges it, right? It gives you the puzzly element, but it's still this larger cooperative game where you're gonna win or lose.
Right.
So yeah, really intrigued by this one, and I think it's very cool that if it's a game I do really enjoy, there's these expansion modules that really can shake it up with different themes and feelings.
Right.
So, yeah, looks like a really cool game. I would love to give it a try.
Nice, Ryan. My number 4. You have played this game. And you played it probably quite a while ago. You don't own it, and I've got a friend here that owns this game. We've talked about getting this to the table. I would say, we love Euro games and like resource games, but this one has a mechanic that, just off the description, just grabs your attention because you are doing time travel, borrowing from the future. This goes to Anachrony.
Oh, yeah.
Got a friend here that has it, and we are like, we got to get this one to the table. And you've played it, right?
Yeah, I would highly recommend it. This one still sits. Honestly, there was a point where I was going to get it, but it happened to be in a weird time where they were like figuring out some things in their product line, and they now have like this essential. So it wasn't like very available with what I would want to get.
Yeah.
But I played it a couple times. It's very, very good.
Yeah. That whole there's really not a game that does that kind of system where you can spend resources, borrow from yourself in the future, but then you need to, when you get to that point, pay up, otherwise
you need to send the resources back to the past, because that's what happened.
Right.
Otherwise that'll be a paradox.
Right. And that is just it's a great example of taking a theme and it being woven into the mechanics of the game. And so you feel that time travel element, when
it's
playing.
If Christopher Nolan, the director, if he made a board game, I think it would be Anachrony.
Yeah. So I am very, very excited to try this one. I am hopeful that this will not be on my list next year. So I think I have no reason not to get to this one to the table, except for the fact that it's not maybe the shortest game in the world.
Though I was actually impressed. It's a complex game. That said, I played it multiple times. If you're playing it with a group that's played it before, it really, like, you start to this is true of a lot of games, but I did feel like it was like, oh, this doesn't need to be a super long game.
Okay.
Like, if you kind of know what you're doing.
I like that.
So
very cool. So I'm excited for Anachrony.
All right, my number 4 has been on my list for several years now. It's in that same super competitive category of like,
so it's never leaving this list.
2.5 hour, 2 hour strategy games. But this is one that continues to keep my attention, and every time I kind of look into it, I'm like, man, I think this one actually deserves a try at some point. This is Revive. Ooh. And Revive, I feel like the cover's a little misleading. It's got like a big yellow flower, like on a kind of like snowy landscape, but it's like a post-apocalyptic survival theme, basically, like post-humanity. But there's this big like shared map that's got all these like kind of like ice tiles and stuff, and part of the game is you're exploring out and flipping those and putting out your little dwellings and things. It almost looks a little bit like what you'd be doing in like a Terra Mystica Age of Innovation type game. But then everybody's got their player board, and actually the whole Terra Mystica system feels like a good parallel to this game. Like it definitely feels in that lane of like you've got this player board where you're doing these interesting things and uncovering things, but then you're trying to like explore out on this board. The player board has got a very interesting thing with all these like there's like 3 different colored tracks that like go around in different ways, and as you move up on them you're going to unlock different abilities and things, but some of the abilities like require multiple tracks to get to that point. So it's kind of this little puzzle of like unlocking and stuff, but then it's driven by kind of this card system of you have cards in your hand and you play a card to take the action, you slot it into one of the slots on the board, and whether it's a top slot or bottom slot will determine if the top or the bottom of the card is activated. So it feels like a lot of these ideas we've seen in other games. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Underwater Cities in some ways. But it just feels like it hits on a lot of what I love about like variability and these types of strategy games. And then it feels like this one in particular has been really, really well received and had staying power. Like it continues to climb the BGG charts, and I still hear people talking about it. So I'm intrigued. I know they released an expansion for it, which, you always, if you know it's the type of game that could be a game you love, those types of games for us tend to be enhanced by an expansion. It isn't like a hard rule, but because we love that variability piece, a lot of time an expansion can help that as even more. So yeah, we'll see. It's just got a tough road ahead of it. A lot of it honestly boils down to like what I get. I give out this big list of games for my birthday and Christmas, and people pick stuff off of it. And so a lot of times the difference between a game here getting tried and not is just which ones people pick. So we'll see. Maybe Revive.
Let me know in the comments what I should get Ryan.
Yeah. Just vote on what Daniel.
Usually it's just whichever game I want to try the most. It's very selfish. Very nice, Ryan. My number 3, I mentioned Wonderland's War is the highest game, or is a game on my list that you currently own. This one is the highest on my list that you will own. And this is one that, I think about the tension of arcs and like the feeling I get around just the interactive nature of it. I feel like this is a game that could potentially even exceed that feeling. And this goes to Food Chain Magnate. This one, you've talked about this one for many years around the interesting nature of it.
Seriously, like considered it back in like 2014 or 15 or something.
But it feels like, just such an interesting game around, and Ryan has now backed the
I will be getting the like deluxe edition at some point here.
Good thing we didn't put out a video saying we weren't gonna do that
sure.
Years.
Hey, I backed that long before we made that
You're
video.
a new man now, Ryan. You're a new man. But anyways, just the idea that like decisions you make, around how to run your, fast food restaurant makes like just drastic implications in the interactive nature of it. And then, you think about even like, I just love the, employ like the, hierarchical tree of
pretty
hiring.
Unique, right? Like this engine building, like you're getting to build your engine, but it's literally just like an org chart of
I think that's
your
awesome.
employees.
That is so just like thematically really, really cool. And I don't know, I feel like it's a game that you're gonna have like that anxious feeling when you're playing, because like one decision can just swing things drastically. You can be doing great, and then all of a sudden someone undercuts you, and it's so. But some of our favorite games have that feeling, right? I think about like the tension of an Agricola, which we obviously both love. Like I think we like tense games. Now, obviously, this one much more. it's like 100% interactive, right? And so
Yeah, it's very, very
so see, you know, kind of if we enjoy that style, but very, very excited for you to get this game, and who knows, someday we'll find time to try it together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's like nothing like it.
Yeah.
Which is over time with how well regarded it is and how much I saw, you know, my Geek Buddy system. Maybe I should link that video where I talk about how you can.
One of your Geek Buddies?
Yeah, maybe you're on the fringe. No, but the whole system to allow me to in Board Game Geek see what people with similar tastes think about games. This is one that like. There's like 10, like,
really?
And that's when there's a bunch of people like giving it 10s, like, it's like, okay, this is worth a look. And when it's so unique, I'm like, I have to give it a try.
Okay, so, cool.
We'll see. My number 3 is a game that's been getting a lot of recent buzz. This is a very new game. I think it was just released quite recently. And it is a continuation in one of the most popular cooperative systems in board gaming, the pandemic system. But this one really pushes it in some new directions, and this is Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship.
Wow.
I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan, so that theme is appealing to me, although it's being thrown around everywhere these days. There's like Lord of the Rings games popping up left and right. But this is one that takes like the approach of a War of the Ring of like, it's going to be the actual big epic story, but it does it in a cooperative game instead of War of the Ring being, you know, one-on-one, and then a cooperative game that isn't 3 hours, but it's more like 90 minutes to 2 hours. And the more I've
War
looked
of the Ring
into,
is like 4 hours, buddy.
War of the Ring, is like 5. Yeah, War of the Ring takes long.
Like
it depends if you're counting setup. Takes an hour to set up. So, but this, just everything I've looked into this, it looks like such a well-executed product and such a great evolution of the pandemic system. I mean, honestly, unless you knew that, like a lot of people would go into this game and you wouldn't go like, oh, this is based on Pandemic.
It's not just a reskin of Pandemic.
It's so different from Pandemic, but it's got some of the core Pandemic DNA with like the cards go off and then the cards go back, and you know you're going to see some of the same cards and like how that's driving some of the where things appear on the map.
Yeah.
I love some of the decisions they made in this of everybody gets to play 2 characters. So you have 2 characters that each have their unique abilities, which is going to make every game feel even more unique because of what your pairing is. And then on your turn, you're always taking 4 actions with one of your character and then 1 action with the other character. And that's just an interesting decision.
Is really
and like your
interesting.
characters could be in different parts of the map and doing different things.
Yeah.
But it also means that like, oh, if this, because you can have this sometimes in cooperative games where you're just in a position where it's like, there's not much I can do this turn that's helpful.
Right.
Where this is like, oh, but I could do 4 actions over with this person and like do something. And so I think that's a cool decision. It allows more of the characters to be in play with fewer players. So I think that's very cool. I absolutely love that every game of this, you always have the main objective of like, obviously Frodo and Sam need to get to Mordor and cast the ring into the fire. Like that's always going to be like the final win condition. But then you're always going to draw 3 random, I think it's 3 or maybe it's 1 per player, like kind of these quest objectives that are other things you need to do that are highly thematic. Like every one of them's like, yeah, that's from the story. Like it's that thing. But it's out of a deck of, I think, like 24 of them. So like every game, you're going to have very different like objectives, and the way that's going to feed into your storytelling and building up kind of, I mean, I talk about this a lot with War of the Ring, how it's like telling this alternate version of the story, and that's a lot of the appeal. And so I think this is kind of playing into that a little bit. The presentation is so nice. Like I love that they did the characters are nice wooden meeples with like the graphic printed on it. I mean, we've talked about how like all the hype goes to minis these days, but I personally would take something that just aesthetically really fits than like an unpainted mini.
Right.
And I think this fits really well with the game. So this one is really shot up to my list to where it's at the point where it's basically one I think I for sure am going to own.
Wow.
Especially because I don't have that many mid-weight cooperative, like traditional cooperative
like
games.
Last Bastion.
Yeah, Last Bastion's a little bit this way. This one's a little bit bigger. It's also fun to get to share kind of this epic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just got an epic scale just because of the source material.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
Very cool.
You know, and obviously there's people I've been seeing that like aren't even really fans of Lord of the Rings, and it's fun.
Well, that'll be
then
interesting to see what my thoughts are.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's me.
Daniel's not a big Lord of the Rings.
Very nice, Ryan. My number 2 is one that when I first saw reviews of this game and I saw the box, the very, very large box size of this game, that just immediately honestly is like I don't want that game, because one, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just like so huge. It almost gives me vibes of like it's just gonna be like, you know, I don't know, hard to get to the table, hard to play, stuff like that. The more I looked into this one, especially when I realized that it is not a campaign game, or sorry, it is a campaign game, but it can be played in one-offs as well. That's why this is actually higher than like an Oathsworn or something like that, because that just opens up the potential to experience just an absolutely epic boss battling experience, and you can even do it in a one-off. My number 2, Ryan, is Primal the Awakening.
Wow.
And it's just funny, you know, these lists are arbitrary. I was just before the video, you know, kind of thinking about different ones, and I saw that one, and I remember like just thinking about it more, and I'm like, man, that, like, I don't really have a game that can deliver that epic of a boss battling fight, but in a one-off experience, and that's a really honestly intriguing thing. And obviously it's got, you know, kind of a card driven combat system, you know, and whatnot, and if you want to do a campaign, I mean, there's you know, that's obviously can be a ton of fun as well, but yeah, this one kind of shocked me, because like when I see these huge boxes, I'm just like, oh my goodness, no, I don't.
Well, and this is one that like you look at people that got the all-in pledge, and it's like 12 big boxes.
I know. So this is the only way I'm going to own this one, is if there is like someone, you know, locally that ends up like selling their copy or something like that.
You can get Daniel with a good deal.
I know, but this one, it's honestly, it's just surprising, Ryan, that it's.
I think this one could be one you would.
I think
really
it could
enjoy.
be a big hit, and watching, like, I just know, like, watching videos of it, I was like, man, mechanically that looks so much fun. Looks like so much fun. So, very surprised, intrigued, and soon my whole bookshelf. I might need a whole bookshelf for Primal the Awakening.
Yeah, it'll be the only thing you see in the background.
That's it.
My number 2 has been mentioned, and of games on the list, it is the most likely for me to play in the next year.
You better, Ryan.
Because it's, well, I say most likely to play in the next year. I guess the most likely case it doesn't if it somehow doesn't deliver in the next year.
Oh, yeah.
Which is not unheard of with these crowdfunding campaigns. But this is Food Chain Magnate.
Nice.
This has been a long time coming that I have wanted to try this game. And I am getting it knowing that there is a chance it could be one of my favorite games, and there's a chance that I'm going to go, yeah, this one just can't stay around in the collection. Like, it's just not going to get played, and I'm just not going to. And I don't know which this is going to be. Stay tuned on the channel to find out. But I am very excited to try this one. You know, the new deluxe edition does a good job of making it. I didn't get the version with all the minis, but it still just looks so much better than the original. Though I honestly would have been okay even trying it with the older edition. I'm a very mechanics driven person. I don't need it to look that good.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so intriguing. I mean, there is nothing even close, really, I think, to what this game is doing with this. And so much of it is so simple. Like, from what I understand, it's a very like elegant design in that there's not like a lot of rules complexity. and there's huge freedom given to the players to like build literally like whatever kind of organization you want, and how you approach the map, and the map is different every time, and the way the neighborhood is laid out is completely going to dictate where you maybe want to be and like where you're competing over stuff. It looks so fascinating. I feel like a big thing with this is just going to be expectations, like setting expectations of a group you're going in with, of like, this is a very cutthroat game. This is a game that can have very wide score differences, and it doesn't necessarily mean it wasn't close. It just means that there was that moment where this person swung and, you know, sold all the burgers while the other person had to throw all theirs in the trash or whatever. And so I think as long as everybody is in the right mindset to where you're not going to get just like emotionally crushed in that moment maybe that happens to you. This one just sounds like it could be very, very cool. Honestly, it's in the lane of games that our sister could like.
Oh, our sister! This could be her
she
favorite
loves
game.
Arcs.
This could be her
like
favorite game.
I think the theme and everything going on here could be very appealing. So she'll likely be in the group that I'm trying this. We'll all learn it together and master it, and then you'll come play with us, and we'll just brutally stomp you into the ground.
Gosh, I'm playing games with a guy tomorrow that this is his favorite game.
Favorite game.
So I don't know if he backed the new version, but he's at least got the old one. So.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a big thing. Like when I'm looking at, you know, at my Geek Buddies rankings or whatever, like a game that maybe even has a lower average but has tons of people rating it a 10 is almost more intriguing than a game with a higher average but like it's more like 9s and 8s.
Right.
Because it's like, okay,
there's something about this.
I want to see something that for the right person could be,
right.
You know, and maybe I'm that person.
You might be.
Maybe I'm not. We'll find out.
Well, Ryan, I'm curious if our number one, it could be a crossover here.
It could be, actually.
And despite being my number one, I honestly don't know that much about the mechanics of the game.
Yeah, it's a bummer you have to talk first.
It's a bummer I have to talk first. Why don't we do this the other way? But I just remember, when this one came out, the reviews were quite positive. Really loved the presentation and the theme, and I think just in terms of a kind of I don't know, Euro game. For some reason, it was one that just really grabbed my attention and is at the top of a game I want to try. This is SETI? Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence? Is that how you say that?
Yes.
So this one, Ryan, you know, bring me in on some of the mechanics here, because honestly, I'll be honest, like my draw to it was initially less on like the systems of the game, but it was more just I was seeing positive.
And I think you knew I was kind of hyped.
And you were well. That's a big thing. If you say some good things about it,
because it's definitely got some of the DNA of a game like Terraforming Mars or an Ark Nova, where there's this big deck of cards.
You're saying the right keywords there.
The big deck of cards. The cards have like multi-use. There's a lot of multi-use cards in this game. So every card can be used. So that driving a lot of it. And like, you know, we definitely really enjoy that game, and just the interesting tactics that come out of getting new cards and figuring out how you're going to use it. Then obviously it's this big sprawling kind of game where you've got like the big solar system, and it's even got the things that can rotate, and so there's some
that was the thing with the board that I loved the most, was the whole like rotating on that huge
and so there's
board.
Actually some like if you were trying to get somewhere, you're kind of planning like, okay, if this rotates I can do this.
I love that.
And honestly there's a lot about like the systems around that I'm less familiar with. The other big killer draw in this, I think, is similar to what I said with Shackleton Base, where every game you're picking two random aliens.
I like that.
That at the beginning of the game you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
It's the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So throughout the game you're trying to make contact with these aliens, and then when you do, you reveal it,
and
like when the group has, and then that like adds new mechanisms into the game. It changes your game.
Do you know how many aliens the game comes with?
I might be mixing it up with Shackleton Base. It's either 5 or 7, I think.
Yeah.
So it might be 5.
And you're doing a pairing of 2 each game. So even in that, you know, some good variability.
Well, and there's already an expansion for it. I mean, it's a popular game.
Yeah.
And so, absolutely just love that dynamic. And it's pretty unique, honestly, like of games like this idea of like there's this big variable setup, but you don't know it up front. Like it's going to
Yeah.
be throughout the game we uncover, and like mid games things are going to change.
That's cool.
That now, which I think is very cool.
Yeah.
So I would say of games on this list, this is the one that most has the like on paper could be up with some of
this
our
felt
favorite
in some ways
games.
kind of how we felt with like Ark Nova when that came out. Of like,
Yeah.
man, this just seems like it really is hitting the
types of
checking the
things.
boxes that we
Yeah.
like in games, and so that's why it is at the top of games I'm interested to try.
And surprise, Daniel, it is.
Did
also
we
my
get
number
a
one.
number one?
Yeah, when I was
crossover
talking
here?
about it, it occurred to me. I was like, oh, I guess I haven't.
You
said
never- you were
yet
just talking
that,
for me, Ryan.
Yeah, I was just talking for Daniel. Now I'll talk for myself. Yeah, I mean, I think I hit on a lot of the big things I wanted to mention. It's a game that is clearly very, very well received.
Right.
And so when you have that combination of it being so well received and the DNA of it is obviously so
Right.
in line
It is.
with the types
Yeah.
of games that we like,
Right.
it just feels like the floor for this game is really high.
Yeah.
It feels like this, like at worst, is going to be like an 8 out of 10 experience for me.
I think the question, it comes down to, do those things that you talk about that differentiate it, the the randomness up front, but you don't discover it till, like, do those things feel different enough that
For sure,
that
and
it
here's
can
the
that it can
deal.
launch it in those, because that's a competitive category, right?
It is a hugely competitive category, and it's a competitive category where my favorite games in that only see the table one or
Yeah.
2 or 3 times a year these days, just
Right.
because I don't get to play as many of these heavier games as
Yeah.
I once did. And so it's like, okay, you're adding one more
right
into the
Does
mix.
one need to go? Bye
Maybe.
Agricola.
Yeah, I mean, there is some truth to, like, over time, you may see some really good games
Yeah.
not make the cut for the collection simply because they would be taking away table
true.
time from games that I like even more.
Yeah.
But that is not enough reason to not give SETI a try, because it, who knows, right? Like, I mean, it could
be the best.
It could be, maybe it'll be our favorite game of all time. And we've talked about how hard of a path that's going to be, because just because to reach that, it feels like you need to hit so many plays for the game to really season like our favorite
That's
types of
right.
games. But who knows? But there you go, Daniel. We have the same most anticipated.
So one of us
game.
better get it.
So one of us better get it so that we can let the people know what we think about it.
Thanks for watching. We will have links to all of these games down below. Maybe if you want to check them out for yourself. And if you haven't already, let us know. What game are you most excited about trying? Did Ryan and I miss a gem that might be out there that we should go check out as well? And we've got more videos here. You can maybe click that one right there. Click it. We'll see you in the next one.